BBS Radio TV on the iHeart Network. This is unreal. I don't want to cry.
Congratulations.
I don't want to cry. But my kids were very young the last time I was on television with NBC. And it happened so fast. It was supposed to be a monthly show, and the first show went weekly, instantly, with makeup artists, nail technicians, hairstylists, and all these things for a 30-minute show, and then that show led into nightly news, which put more pressure on me on a Saturday. So here we are, I don't want to date myself, a lot of years later, on this show is going to premiere on a Saturday at 9 o'clock, and the last time I was on the air, the show aired at 6. So, no, 5 to 6, and then night weekend at 6. So here we are. My first guest, I am so happy to announce that Dr. Reginald Parker is here. He is a phenomenal person. I got a chance to see him in real time at a 3-day convention on climate tech, like climate technology. Well, I have to admit, I didn't know much about climate control or EVs or any of that, the sciences period. I hear politicians talk about it and debate about whether it's real or not, but to witness a 3-day conference where some of the brightest minds were there, led by Dr. Parker. I have to say I'm a new person. I'm aware of what's going on, and it was just so befitting to me to have the first Kathy Durant show to feature and focus on the state of climate technology in reference to underserved communities. And I would go as far as to say underserved Black communities, because I heard a lot of that during the 3-day conference. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you my first guest for the Kathy Durant Show, Dr. Reginald Parker. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate this, and really do appreciate what you did for us at the conference to capture what we talked about in reference to the community, what I call they're overlooked, underestimated, and therefore underserved. There's a lot that we can do. We're leaving not only dollars on the table, but we're causing undue death because of medical technology that's needed. A lot of people don't know that with climate change comes myriads of issues. And so we have to look at them and figure out how we can help them, because they are also part of the economy. Can't let any part of the economy goes down.
So if you had to give us a grade right now for where we are with awareness, what would that grade be?
when there's people who are arguing whether or not climate change is real, and all of the scientists who study say it is, and you have people who are, let's say, undereducated in the area making pronouncements, that's an F. When you go to your cancer doctor and they say you have cancer, then you go over to a psychologist and say, I don't think so. Why would you go to somebody who's not trained in the field to make such an assessment? And that's what's happening. We have politicians talking about whether or not climate tech and climate change is real. They're not trained in that field.
So how would they know?
We need to do a lot better. There's a clock in New York, and you can walk and it shows that we have a little bit over 6 years before there's nothing else we could do. Now, oil companies, utility companies have been knowing this pre-1970 that we are changing the climate. It's 30, 50 years now and we haven't done anything. That's an F.
Well, that's pretty serious. Well, recommendations.
Well, we have to change how we do things. Now, the good news about that is with this change comes economic development, workforce training, community empowerment. People will go to work and do this transition. There's a quick change to get off of fossil fuels, which sends up a lot of greenhouse gases, and move to electronic vehicles. Well, now the electronic vehicles are taking their power majorly from utility companies that are using coal and natural gas. So we have to substitute what they are using to make power with solar, wind, and other renewable energies. But more so than that, we have to reduce the amount of energy that we're using. 30 to 40% of energy is waste. A lot of people don't understand that they're wasting 30 to 40%.
So that means we need to have like a revolution when it comes to charging stations everywhere.
Now, that is where politicians are good at. They are good at setting policies and understanding those issues and being able to fund infrastructure changes, and they have. The bipartisan infrastructure legislation addresses that.
Well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk to you more about how to educate consumers. How do we get the word out? Because that was the thing that really, it didn't worry me, but I said to myself, I said, this is an excellent conference, but how do we get this information to Main Street? Mm-hmm. So we'll be back in a moment, and with Dr. Reginald Parker, I'm gonna pick his brain for everything. We'll be right back.
Want to get out of just about anything? Use the environment excuse.
Dear housemates, due to the environmental impact of food waste, I'm eating all your leftovers. You're welcome.
Is that my shirt and pants and shoes?
I'm literally saving the environment.
Ooh, what's this about?
I'm just doing my part for the environment.
What did the sushi say to the bee? Wasabi!
Gotta love an open mic carpool.
Less cars, more jokes!
Is that Mima's punch bowl?
We use way too much plastic. Think of the planet.
Who is the best princess?
The environment is the best excuse. Find an out and opt in to save the earth. Just scan this code.
Having low income can mean making tough choices. Choosing between paying for food or medication or a place to live is a reality for many people. Do you know someone who could use some extra help? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. SSI is money you can use to help pay for basic needs, like putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, paying the rent. It can mean new shoes for growing feet or help with medical needs. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI. To schedule an appointment or start to apply today, that's ssa.gov/SSI. Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
We're talking about climate technology, also known as climate tech. My guest today is Dr. Reginald Parker, and in segment 1, we talked about the state of climate control, where we are. Now, Dr. Parker is going to share some information that will help consumers. We're trying to get information, education, awareness to consumers so that they can take advantage of the many programs like ARA that's out there to help ease the economy. So here we are. Can you take it from here?
Have you ever had your mom, your father, your grandparents, your auntie, anybody say, close the door, we're not trying to heat up or cool off the outside? Or turn off that light, you're not paying for it, I am? This is energy efficiency. This is simple things that we can do. Turn off that light.
So is this new?
No, it's not
Because
new.
we heard these things.
This is what we knew and we forgot that we are bringing it back. And what's interesting is solar as a technology has been around before 1850. Yeah, electric cars came out before gas guzzlers.
I didn't know that.
Gas guzzlers were just better at marketing. And so solar has been around for a long time. But you know, what most people don't understand is that it is actually cheaper. And they say, well, how is it cheaper? It costs a lot of money up front. Well, if you were to put a coal power plant on your rooftop, how much would that cost? You know, nobody thinks about that. But the best way I do it, Kathy, is asking this. You can break even using solar, right? And I said, yeah. When do you break even with the utility? So that already automatically tells you which one can be cheaper. Now, I'm not trying to say that we don't use all the tools that are on the table. But when the power and the grid goes down, you shouldn't have to. You should be able to power your critical areas. And for some people, having power for critical areas is more than critical. If you require this for life-giving medical treatment and you don't have power, you're relying 100% on the grid. But if you have solar with storage, at least it can power the things that are going to keep you alive. And so not only is it good for the environment, it's also good for you. Now, I developed a solar farm, and a storm came through and knocked off everything in North Carolina. They had to take off the nukes. And they called me, and they said, your solar farm works. Can we turn it on and give power to 140 homes in the Northampton, North Carolina area? And we did. No other power plant was able to turn on, but there was sun the next day.
Well, so I have this question. When we changed from typewriters to computers, society came kicking and screaming. Some people never crossed over. So how easy is it going to be to cross over from gasoline to electric? I mean, you got people right now who are angry at computers. They don't want to use them. We never totally transitioned, so now we're going into another transition. But I guess we never heard that typewriters and computers between the two, that we were in a life-threatening situation. With climate change,
Right.
we're in a life-threatening situation, is what you're saying.
Some people are motivated by that type of truth.
Okay.
There's another type of truth. The average person pays between $300 to $600 a month in gas just to get around. Imagine if that number is cut by 90%. And you're now paying not $300 to $600, but $30 to $60 more in electricity bill.
Well, suppose that happened and then the cost of cars go up. How do you balance that?
Well, these cars, yes, they're going to be more expensive, but they're going to last 15, 20 years. You're not going to have to change the oil. You're not going to have to change the transmission. All you have to do is put new tires on them, things, and it downloads software to keep it even more efficient. So your cost of maintenance goes as, either little to nothing, number one. Number two, the cost to keep it fueled goes down to little or nothing. And three, the average cost of the vehicle extends because there's so many moving parts and the internal combustion engine cars. It always has a breakdown cycle, and it lasts for 6 to 10 years, not 15 to 20.
So do we have the data now that supports how well these cars are going to hold up?
Yes, we've had electric cars on the market before 2000, right? And then, you have a lot from Tesla. So there's a lot of data already on the market on how electric vehicles can stand up. Moreover, these electric vehicles are using lithium-ion batteries, the same type of batteries we use in our watches, our computers, our cell phones. We know how they hold up over time. So there's a lot of rich data out there as to how these cars will behave and the reliability. That's the reason Ford and Cadillac said EV, full speed, 2025.
So they're on board.
Yes.
Whoa. So who do you think will be the leader as far as a brand? Do you even want to say who would be the leader in EV, electric vehicles?
That's hard to say. I mean, you look at cell phones, who's the leader? Some people like Samsung over the Google over the Apple, right? And it's just that,
I think they stopped rating.
The Ford 150,
Yeah.
for people who like cars, an exceptional vehicle. Kia has a nice 7-passenger van. To me, it doesn't have a lot of trunk space, but the number of different type of brands out there is tremendous.
Let's go back.
I don't think there will be a winner.
Right.
I think there will be just something that everybody can choose what goes
Right.
for them.
They'll have variety. Let's go back to Main Street and climate control. What can we do? What can we do to get the word out other than talk shows like the Kathy Durant Show?
What you can do is you look at the regular incandescent light bulb. If you were to screw it in and let it turn on, it gets hot. That heat is not really lighting up anything. You screw in an LED, it gets bright, it doesn't get hot. And the difference between an incandescent and an LED in price, they're about the same price, but one of them is 10 to 15 watts, the other one is 100 to 150 watts. The difference between the two is that now you can reduce your light bill by 90% by going LED. Boom, simple. Weatherization, close the doors tight. Wherever there are leaks, do that. Energy management technology. First, you have to monitor how you're using the energy, but if you have things that will turn things off for you, turn things down for you when you need to, then that actually helps you. This is before you put solar on your house. You get rid of all of the energy waste, and then you use the right energy, and then you right size your energy.
Okay, on that note, we're going to go to a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about network for success. I want you to tell us all about that. I was there, but the audience will want to know some of the highlights of it. So we'll be back in a moment with Dr. Reginald Parker. Stay with us.
I guess I should get up and shower. Or I can save water and carbon.
Is that my shirt? And pants? And shoes?
I'm literally saving the environment.
What did the sushi say to the bee? Wasabi!
Gotta love an open mic carpool.
Less cars, more jokes!
The environment is the best excuse. Find an out and opt in at theenvironmentexcuse.org.
The challenges our planet's animals are facing sometimes feel a bit heavy.
The animals haven't eaten in a day, 2 days, they haven't drank anything, they're cold, they're dehydrated.
As soon as we started our descent, everywhere I could see was mud. Just absolutely mud.
The country has been in prolonged drought for so long, it was like a tinderbox waiting to go up.
Okay, very heavy. Each of us wants to be part of the solution, and we can be. Remember that there's good happening right now. At home.
All right, we were able to get into your unit, and we have all 4 of your cats. So,
okay.
And around the world. For any animal in any disaster. So let's focus on that, right? Be part of the solution, one rescue at a time. Search ifa.org/disaster ready.
We're back with Dr. Reginald Parker, and he just kind of promised off camera during the break to tell us all about the highlights of Network for Success. I got a chance to be there. It was an amazing 3-day conference in Atlanta. He's going to tell us where it was held and some of the keynote speakers and some of the panels, all this great stuff that happened during the 3-day conference. So, without further ado, you're on.
So, I got to give you the backstory.
Okay.
Green Power Ventures recently won. It was a 2-step process. So we won the first step and the second step. And the energy, it's called EPIC 2, Energy Programs for Innovation Clusters. It's a DOE-sponsored event where we are able to offer accelerators and incubators.
You mean Department
of Energy.
Okay.
Where we're able to offer accelerators and incubators, especially for companies that are doing energy within a certain region. And so we're looking to do it specifically for overlooked, underestimated populations to get into energy. And so although our curriculum is available for everybody, we targeted BIPOC founders because they are left out of the energy equation.
What do you mean by BIPOC?
Black, indigenous, people of color.
Okay.
So we look for BIPOC founders and everybody in between, and we did a great job in grabbing them. And so 7 were selected specifically for a accelerator called Pilot to Profit, and the rest of the people went to Network for Success. And so we had those 2 teams coming in and out of each other, and there was specific training for Pilot to Profit, where we were trying to train entrepreneurs who had a great idea or a great product on how to scale it up and become $1 billion company. And then for the others, they were later stage companies already having the capability of deploying and have had a history of doing so. But what they needed are what we call the 3 Ps. 1 P, a platform. So it's an ecosystem where we're able to bring them together. And so as a collective, they're stronger than one large company. And then a pipeline. And we have a pipeline of HBCUs, of minority serving institutions. We're building also a pipeline for public facilities, public homes, as well as multifamily facilities. So Section 9 and Section 8. So our goal is to go after institutions that are in socially disadvantaged and low-income areas and get at those institutions and create what we call a pipeline of opportunities for the platform. So we brought over 40 BIPOC founders to these activities. Here are the projects, here's the money, and you are the people that can make this happen. And it was magic.
So when you talk about the money, how exactly does the money go into the people's pocket?
So what's interesting is that you have all of these banks. They're out there looking for projects to fund. They're looking for BIPOC founders to fund for those projects. And I put them all in one place. I brought the banks there. US Bank was our title sponsor. RSF Financial came and also presented through Michael Jones. We had other financial partners there, but these are just 2 to name. We had coalition builders such as Dream.org, another one of the sponsors. When you bring these type of people together, along with a wide variety of founders like Synergy, Optimal Tech, and others, then you have magic, because now you have people with projects finding sources of money and other people to support those projects. Usually a company needs 2 to 3 other subcontracts or partners to be able to do it. And so now they were now networking for their own success.
I saw that.
I had to peel people away so that we could move to the next section.
And there was like a high at the end. Everybody they didn't want to go home, and plus the food was good. You did
We were
a really
intentional
good job.
with that. Intentional.
Yeah, the food. I mean, it was flowing. It was really good. It was. They say the average adult's attention span is 1 hour. I watch people go through 4 hours, and they were still like this.
I mean,
Why?
First of all, when you think about bringing Chandra Farley, sustainability from the city of Atlanta, and her talking about what the city of Atlanta and the goal that they have for 2025, and they're not close to meeting it, and saying, hey guys, come up with some solutions. You have Brandon Little from the Region 4 U.S. Housing and Urban Development saying, hey, these are things that HUD are looking for in Section 9, Section 8, Section 3. And we didn't understand all of that at first, but bright minds all of a sudden saw opportunities. And, for 3 to 4 hours afterwards, they were talking to Brandon. When you have Michael Jones from RSF Financial saying, we're going to deploy $15 million for, by the end of this year. And they said, well, we have $20 million of projects. He's happy.
Yes.
You have U.S. Bank talking about that 60% of all new market tax credits flow through their bank. So not only are you looking at ITC, NMTC, or investment tax credits, which goes for solar and storage, but new market tax credits can be used for energy efficiency. How do you put all of those things together? Right. Dana from Solar Stewards talking about SRECs and how that can be used. Jordan Taylor from Montgomery Green Bank and what you can do there. So, I mean, having all of those folks talk about things that people are trying to figure out, talk about the solution, unlocking the code, it was, manna from heaven, right? And so, yeah, you talk about how good the food was for the body, but there was food for the mind.
For the mind.
And, there's not a conference that I've been to that had this type of information.
I heard that a lot.
And I've been wanting one, so in Reggie fashion, I created it.
Well, hold that thought. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the pitch. There was a pitch contest, and I'm curious to know that, did you teach them how to pitch, or they came there prepared to pitch?
I can answer on the break.
Yes. But we'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. I hope you're enjoying Dr. Reginald Parker and his take on the incredible things that are happening in climate technology. We'll be back in a moment.
Having low income can mean making tough choices. Choosing between paying for food or medication or a place to live is a reality for many people. Do you know someone who could use some extra help? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. SSI is money you can use to help pay for basic needs, like putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, paying the rent. It can mean new shoes for growing feet or help with medical needs. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI to schedule an appointment or start to apply today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I guess I should get up and shower. Or I can save water and carbon.
Is that my shirt? And pants? And shoes?
I mean, I'm literally saving the environment.
What did the sushi say to the bee? Wasabi!
Gotta love an open mic carpool.
Less cars, more jokes!
The environment is the best excuse. Find an out and opt in at theenvironmentexcuse.org.
And we are back with Dr. Reginald Parker, and he promised to tell us about the pitch contest during the break. I don't know if we're going to get the secret sauce and how they pulled it off, but he's going to generalize us in the subject and let us know what the pitch contest was all about and what the winnings were about in the end.
So, I'm not going to give away everything.
Okay.
But I will tempt you a little bit. It goes back to how do you understand your customers? And all of your customers, you're pitching.
Right.
You're pitching to your team, you're pitching to your investors, you're pitching to people who are buying an advertisement, a commercial. That's a pitch. And you have to understand that in the pitch, the biggest piece is the value proposition. And I said there's 3 letters in value proposition you have to know: X, Y, and Z. X is how much does it cost? Y is how much can you sell it for? And Z, what is the value to you? So you have a car may cost $7,500 to manufacture. However, you're going to sell it for $17,000 so that you make a profit. But for the person who buys the car, who can now go to work, who can now carry their baby around, who can now keep themselves safe, and as they go from place A to B, they have air and heat, it may be worth $30,000 to them. So when you understand the value structure, everybody has to make a profit, then you know how to sit down and formulate what is to be said. And we talk to them about, how do you draw people in? How do you formulate what it is you're going to say? And so we gave them a 3-minute pitch, 3 minutes of Q&A. Is that enough time to tell them all of your business plans, your financial metrics? But no, it's only enough time to get people interested in the next meeting. And so we tell them how to use those 3 minutes most effectively, because sometimes that's all the time you have at the top of the elevator to the bottom of the elevator walking out of the door.
Right.
So it's called the elevator pitch.
So in the end, what do you expect to achieve? Interest, or you want to close the deal?
You cannot close a deal in 3 minutes unless you have some exceptional skills. Right. And so we'll talk about the winner. Her name was Christine, and actually right now she's raising $60,000 for a huge conference and an event. And we're pushing her full force, and her company's called Drinkhicks. And what Drinkhicks does is it takes refuse, apples, bananas, bamboo, recycled bottles, recycled rubber, and make shoes and other types of products. And they are sweet, they're nice products. I mean, I want one right now, right? And not only on that, it has an NFC chip where you can swipe your phone and figure out just how much carbon she was able to reduce by you wearing the shoe. And so there are a lot of companies out there that want to buy these shoes for their employees to reduce. And that is a pitch, right? Wow. And she got up and she pitched. People quickly understood what it is that she was doing, the value.
Good looking shoe.
It was a good looking shoe. They understood the value, the questions. If you design your pitch right, you already know the questions that are going to be, and she did that. And this is what we also trained them. It's called the customer journey. It's called understanding your customer. And when you are able to put all of those things together, your pitch comes together. because there's 3 different types of customers, therefore there's 3 types of customer journeys. But all customers walk in that first 3 minutes, and then it starts veering off. So you have to have that first 3 minutes down pat.
Yeah. So there were 3 winners.
We're only going to talk about the first.
Okay. We're going to talk about number 2 and number 3. It was exciting. I mean, it was interesting to watch, and we have more segments coming up about.
We'll get into the other ones.
Yes, we can talk about them later. I want to go back to how to prepare younger generations to look out for later when it comes to climate control. You talked about a few tips in terms of how you run your family, but if you were talking to Main Street, what would you tell Main Street in terms of how to prepare their children for, the effects of climate control? What can they do without coming off too hard to the kids?
One thing you might not have noticed, but I brought 4 college students to the event. And I talked to each one of them and said, go talk to these folks. I said, they're talking to bankers, they're talking to each other. You need to talk to them. Do you know what to talk to them about? He said, what, sir? I said, internships.
Wow.
You got to get them connected somehow. So I talk to my kids always about what is your science fair project going to be this year? And I get them to call some of my friends. I'm an engineer by training, so I have friends who are engineers. I get them to call and talk to others. If you have a scientist, an engineer that you can touch or call, get them talking to them, right? Ask them to do a project. Recycling. Have them tell you, act like you don't understand why recycling is important, and ask your kids, why is recycling important?
I kind of feel like there's so much coming at kids right now. Like, you got climate technology, and you got AI. I mean, are we talking 2 different worlds here, or same world?
So one of my technologies, right, that I have is called caring for assets through reliable intelligence. And so one of the things it does is monitors your energy use. I plug it right in at your breaker box. It sees how you use energy. Then it learns how you use energy. And then it starts making recommendations on how to maintain and manage your energy. And if you want it to take over, it will dim lights, it will turn things off. Let me give you, one of our clients set a light, well actually it was a machine, to turn on and off between 3 and 6. And they wondered why it never turned on and off, and so they reset it and it was turning on and off right that time. When we were able to put in a monitor, we were seeing that it was turning on at 3 a.m. and 6 p.m. 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. So while they were not at work, it was turning on and off. It turns out that it was costing them $90 a day, times 365. They were paying closer to $30,000 more in the energy a year because they couldn't see what they didn't know. But the energy monitoring technology found it and was able to turn it off because it wasn't supposed to be on. When you have parking lot lights, are they supposed to be turning on in the middle of the day?
Right.
And you're paying for that. These are things that you don't pay attention to, but the AI will.
Right.
And the AI is a 24/7 thing that can actually do what you need to do. And you're gonna say, there you go, getting rid of jobs. The average small to medium-sized building owner do not have $100,000 a year to pay for an energy manager. But if you can give them that through AI, for a simple cost of about $5,000 a year, and it cuts their energy in half, then yes, this is a job that doesn't exist inside of that company, and that company can't afford it. Why not help them get rid of the energy waste and manage their energy better? So AI has this is just one example, but has a special place in clean tech. And clean tech has a special place in AI. AI is on a computer server, and do you fuel that computer server, those big server farms, using fossil fuels? Google and other large tech companies said, no, we will go carbon neutral, and we would use renewable resources in order to fuel our farms. So their data farms are being fueled by solar farms and battery farms. Facebook, all of them are doing this. So there is clean tech in AI and AI in clean tech.
Well, and you're like an advocate for both.
Yes.
You're like, isn't that rare though? Because usually it's like pick a side, you know. We were talking about partisan, politics.
ML, which is machine learning, and AI is artificial intelligence, are not going to go away. So there's no side to that in terms of, this is what's happening. And, if you know how to use ChatGPT as an example, as a prompter, you can get paid $360,000 a year.
Wow.
So the thing is that every time there's a new job, there's a new opportunity. And, are you going to be one of the ones that are going to take as much advantage of being as high on the totem pole to make that money? Or are you going to wait so that you can get in at the bottom floor?
So right now, with so much happening in technology, and America thrives off of small businesses. What advice do you have for a small business right now that's working in solar energy, green technology? What advice?
You got to make sure that you're in the right trade groups so that you can get the right opportunities. If you're African American, there's an organization that's called BOSS, Black Owners of Solar Solutions. They're going to be at RE+, which is one of the largest renewable energy conferences there is. They're going to be there this upcoming week. I'm flying out tomorrow morning. And, you just got to do these things. You got to be in the know. You got to join the right organizations, get the flow of deals. You have to go out and talk to people. We are concentrating on going after these institutions, and in doing so, by working with these institutions, we're making an impact, and we're bringing more people on board. So the folks that we work with are a part of these organizations. That's how I find them. And plus, I've been in the business since 2004, 2003. So I've got to know a lot of people, and I don't let them go. Wow. Because, I need to help them, and they need to help me. Wow. As we save this planet.
This is the Kathy Durant Show, broadcasting on BBS Radio TV on the iHeart Network.
Every family has their challenges, their issues, their baggage. You can't always see it.
I haven't slept in months. I have one that won't sleep and one that won't stay in bed.
We sometimes try to hide it.
My son is so disrespectful. I can't relate to him anymore.
And eventually, it gets out of control.
We know she's vaping, drinking, her grades are slipping. She stays out all night.
But we don't have to face these challenges alone. Visit boystown.org/parenting for valuable guides, downloadable parenting tools, and expert advice. If you need immediate help, call the trained counselors at the Boys Town National Hotline. Whether the baggage is big or small, Boys Town can help lighten the load so you can get back to the things that matter. For any age, any stage, Boys Town.
Having low income can mean making tough choices. Choosing between paying for food or medication or a place to live is a reality for many people. Do you know someone who could use some extra help? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. SSI is money you can use to help pay for basic needs, like putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, paying the rent. It can mean new shoes for growing feet or help with medical needs. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI to schedule an appointment or start to apply today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The Kathy Durant show continues now with Dr. Reginald Parker, who's been enlightening us on climate technology, and in the last segment we talked a little bit about AI and how the two, I wouldn't say they match, I won't dare say a word, it'll take he's the expert. But I think we got a good understanding of AI, and AI is not like everybody's friend right now when it comes to the writer's strike, and people feel like using AI is like putting people out of work. So is that kind of the same scenario when people thought that computers were going to put people out of work because you didn't have somebody typing 105 words a minute? Is that the same thing?
I would say this is dramatically different.
Okay.
If we went from an agricultural society to a manufacturing society, from a manufacturing society to an industrial to a technology, this next step into information, it's totally different, and we're not going to be able to stop it. But what we have to do now is be able to better control it. And the only way you can do that is through deeper understanding. You can't stop, deep learning, right? But the problem with deep learning is that it learns off of what's already been done.
Yes.
What has not been proven is that it can do new learning.
What do you mean by new learning?
So if I have a pot of data and I ask ChatGPT or some other type of artificial intelligence to come up with a solution, it will come up with a solution based on what's in that pot of data. What humankind has done is continue to build on that pot of data through discovery, learning, re-examination. So AI is able to give you information off of that pot of data. What we have not been able to show through self-learning is that it can continue to grow that pot of data. And that is, the quintessential issue with AI, and where we can put caps on. We can put caps on keeping it only able to develop based on a pot of data, not to increase the pot. Because that's where we are able to allow humankind to still add value.
Well, when people think of AI, they think robots coming to take over everything, and there would be no need for them in the automobile industry. Almost not now. I guess they're like overseeing robots now. But how do you balance that? How do you take away that fear of there not going to be jobs?
So you can't take it away, because that is a truth. A certain type of jobs will have to go away. This is a manufacturer of carpets up in Dalton, Georgia.
But where do people go?
Oh, right, but let me give you an example. This is manufacturer in Dalton. They make carpets. In order to compete against Southeast Asia from a profit margin point of view, they couldn't keep people working. If they kept people working, they would go out of business. So they have an engineer in a fully automated facility. You walk in, the lights are out. You know why the lights are out?
Why?
Because the automation doesn't need to see to do what it needs to do.
So they're saving money?
Yeah, and they're saving money by keeping the lights out because the robots in that facility